UFC Tampa, this is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. The last card of 2024. Sadly, the last weigh-in recap show of the year as well. If you tune into the channel consistently, though, you know I still got daily content coming, but it's disappointing that this is the last card we're covering for a few weeks, but it's all good. I'm very excited to break things down. I'm very excited to talk about each of the fights. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC Tampa fight card Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll also be doing a fight companion for the Usyk versus Fury fight. So, not the last fight companion of the year, though, but the last UFC fight companion. It's all good. We're going to enjoy the hell out of it. And, every moment counts. We're going to talk about the first fight. Let's jump into things. Ladies, start this card off. We have Piera Rodriguez versus Josephine Knutsson. I've been picking Knutsson to win. The reason being is I just think she's a very well-versed prospect with a lot of upside. Her striking skills are very technical. She's got experience in straight striking competitions. I like her slickness and I like her combinations. As far as her grappling game, she has been taken down a bit, but stubborn on the ground, right? He's not just going to let you dominate her and stay on the bottom. She's going to work towards a reversal or work towards getting back up on the feet. And you have to like that aspect of her game. She doesn't get comfortable on her back. I would say she's rather uncomfortable on her back. She's going to do everything she can to get back up to the feet or reverse position. Now, Piera Rodriguez has a relatively decent wrestling game. I wouldn't consider Piera Rodriguez to be elite tier as far as like her ability to get fights to the ground, but her takedowns are solid. She's decent from top position. Now, she did get wrecked by Jillian Robertson, but Robertson, top 15 type of girl, so you know that she's not all the way up at that level. I think Knutsson's going to have the grappling defense and then the striking advantage to handle what Piera Rodriguez brings to the table, and also Rodriguez has like a mad questionable fight IQ. She was throwing headbutts against Ariane Carnelosi and got DQ'd after rocking her with a front kick and literally having that fight in the bag. So I question this right here with Piera Rodriguez. Seems a little bit unstable. Now, as far as on the scales, Piera Rodriguez looked in, relatively good condition as expected. Knutsson looked solid too. Hair looking a little messed up. She got that bedhead look, but came in on weight, no misses, which is a good thing. Face off, not really a size difference. They're about the same height, very similar as far as their thickness goes. I don't think, the physique or the scale is changing any bit of my thought process with this fight. I'll anticipate that Piera Rodriguez will attempt to wrestle a bit. She may even get Knutsson down. I think Knutsson can bounce back up to her feet. And then I think Knutsson's striking is a massive advantage. She's a lot slicker and quicker. Not an absolute walk in the park type of fight. I say relatively competitive, but Josephine Knutsson to win unanimous decision makes a lot of sense. Now, the odds are pretty wide and, not necessarily a fabulous bet because you're laying chalk down heavy at minus 255 for Knutsson, whereas Piera's plus 215. I can see some being tempted towards the side of the dog, but I do think the gym Knutsson's at produces high-level talent, all-stars team. I feel like with the striking background she has, the youth factor, I expect improvements each and every fight, and I do think she's a prospect to keep an eye on. So I think she'll win a decision. The over is minus 500. Knutsson on the judges' scorecards. It's normally how she wins fights. It's all the way up at minus 170. The odds suck. Not really much you can do as far as value on the betting lines here, but the official prediction is Josephine Knutsson to win by a unanimous decision. I think you see it that way. I see it that way. Most of us are seeing her getting it done. Knutsson, decision. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. We actually have a really cool bantamweight matchup. We have Davey Grant versus Ramon Taveras. Now, these guys are kind of in opposite career positions now. Davey Grant, nearly 39, whereas Taveras is 30 years old, and it's only Taveras' second UFC fight. He's at a pretty large disadvantage as far as experience at the highest level goes. And I'm going to pick Davey Grant for an upset win. I know Taveras has relatively clean boxing, and he does have a lot of punching power, and I'd say he's even pretty slick. Literally one UFC fight. It was a really competitive decision win that he pulled through. A lot of people felt it was controversial against City. And then 2 fights prior to that, he was dropped by City and stopped early in the fight. Granted, it was a bit of an early stoppage. Still, to get rocked bad in the fight. And then you look, Cortavius Romeo's knockout. Romeo's kind of got exposed in the UFC. I feel as though Davey Grant is a tough stylistic matchup. I mean, he's just kind of a notable journeyman. He beats up and coming guys. He loses by split decision to a handful. Like if you look, last fight he gave Daniel Marcos a pretty tough fight. And Marcos is a good prospect, right? Split decision. Before that, he had beaten a Sunsaw with a comeback inverted triangle. That was badass. Whooped Louis Smoka as he should have. And then the Adrian Yanez split decision, super competitive, goes distance with Marlon Vera, even has a win over Marlon Vera earlier in his career. And then like he has a win over Jonathan Martinez, knocks out Martinez. So he does pretty well with fellow strikers, and it's just kind of one of those tricky, tough journeymen that are hard to beat. And the fact that Ramon Taveras doesn't really have the experience factor on his side, I just feel as though that's rather worrisome. Like he doesn't have high level experience besides, I guess, the City fight. But do you really consider the City fight to be high level experience? I do have to double check the UFC weigh-in results because I'm seeing here on Tapology, I don't know if this is a mismark, that Taveras came in overweight. I saw that everybody made weight, but I'm going to double check because you never know. Taveras, yes, he was 136. He made weight. That was the weigh-in from his last fight. Tapology is not updated yet. Just had to double check that. I wanted to see if I was forgetting something major or not. I believe that Davey Grant on a competitive decision is live. I could even see Davey Grant hurting Taveras in round 3. I understand the upside and trending potential favors Taveras, and he does have a good striking style. But damn, man, he hasn't fought anybody to Davey Grant's level. I mean, even City got outboxed in his last fight against Garrett Armfield and won a controversial decision. I'm going to say Davey Grant, either a late finish or a competitive decision, pulls off an upset here. Look at the UFC experience difference. This is his 13th UFC fight versus Taveras' second. I really got to favor Davey Grant's experience. I feel as though odds-wise, he's being a bit overlooked, as he typically is. We got Taveras. I mean, he looks pretty sucked out at the weigh-in, man. You can see every bit of his jawline and his face. You can see his cheeks are sucked in. Damn, man. The face is wearing the weight cut. And the fact that he missed weight last time, then he put on a good performance and got, a competitive win, but still was gassing late. I have to assume that in the later stages of the fight, round 3 especially, Davey Grant's got to be live. Like, okay, yeah, he's nearly 39, but the dude is shredded. He works his ass off. Davey Grant's a tough OG. You can't confidently pick against him. You can see Taveras filled out a little bit at the face-offs. And then you look at the face-off here. Similar size, maybe Grant a tad bit taller. Taveras has got good boxing, but he hasn't fought someone like Davey Grant. These tough British dudes, man. He represents like the journeyman Brit. He's an Ultimate Fighter finalist too. Like, I feel like Davey Grant, for some reason, is just always overlooked, and I'm not going to overlook him. I'm going to say Davey Grant is live for an upset win against, an exciting prospect with big power, but someone that's unproven. I mean, the line has flipped, which is crazy because earlier on in the week, Davey Grant was a fair-sized underdog, but I think seeing how good he looked on the scales maybe gave people more confidence in him, especially with Taveras being, relatively unproven as far as UFC levels go. The over is danger zone, but I could see an over 1.5 at -240. I do think Grant is live for a finish, +400, +375. Another note about Davey Grant, you think of him more as a boxer, right? When you think back to his fights, when you actually go back and watch, he has really nice kicks, karate-esque kicking game alongside of a tough British boxing style. I think he's live to shock Ramon Taveras. Could be a competitive 3-rounder. Could end up being a Grant KO win in the later stages of the fight. Either way, I am going to go with Davey Grant, who now is the ever so slight favorite to pull off a win. even though I guess statistically it's no longer an upset. And when I, made the official pick, it was an upset call. And Grant still feels like an underdog leading into the fight with the masses, 66% picking Ramon Taveras. I think Davey Grant's being slept on a tad bit against somebody unproven. I know Taveras got that badass look and gives a Masvidal-esque vibe, but doesn't mean he's that level. And I think Davey Grant can pull off the surprise in our second fight on the card. Let's keep on running. Next fight on the card, ladies, go after it. It's Miranda Maverick and Jamie Lynn Horth. Miranda Maverick should win, right? She's supposed to be essentially a lock in this fight here. The worry is she is at a massive size disadvantage. And you're going to see when I bring up the face-offs between the two, there's a legit size difference between the ladies. Now, Miranda Maverick does have relatively good wrestling, relatively good kickboxing. She's not exceptional, but she's a hard-working, talented prospect. I mean, I guess you could say she's somewhat of a contender. She's fought a lot of high-level girls, 14-5 as a pro, and she's only 27, versus Jamie Lynn Horth is 34 with like less than half of the fights. I favor Maverick's high-level experience. Jamie Lynn Horth also kind of got a robbery decision win last fight against Petrovic. I think Maverick could win. She should win. Now, the odds are unreasonable. We'll look at the odds in a second, but Jamie Lynn Horth looking slim, slender, and tall here on the scale. Jamie Lynn Horth, Jamie Lynn the horse. And then we got Miranda Maverick. She looks kind of goofy on this pick. It is a bad pick of her. I don't know. That's a low aura pick, man. You have to be worried seeing that picture just a bit. There's Jamie Lynn. There's Maverick repping USA. Is that Colby Covington's sister? And then look at the size difference. I would assume that Miranda Maverick is going to attempt to wrestle a bit. The big worry will be what happens if Jamie Lynn Horth has the takedown defense that holds up, and then she's in a striking match with a range advantage. Could be one of those awkward women's fights, but I really think Miranda Maverick is technically superior. Like, she should win the fight. Miranda Maverick should be able to outpoint her in striking. She should be faster. She should be better on the ground. I mean, she's fought way better opposition. But it's a women's fight, and, it's a Miranda Maverick fight. She's known for losing weird decisions in fights that everybody picks her. She's a minus 620 favorite, which doesn't make any sense to me. It should be a lot closer. At open, she was minus 450. Jamie Lynn Horth is plus 445. I mean, the face-off does not lead me to believe these odds as facts, right? Maverick should absolutely blow through Jamie Lynn Horth at minus 620, but I don't think she will. Now, over 2.5 at minus 450, I believe, makes a lot of sense here because I expect this fight to go into the later stages, but you're not playing Maverick minus 275 for a decision. Maverick by sub plus 600. Relatively good ground game, but Maverick's not exceptional. I think she wins on the scorecards. How many wins by sub? 7 wins by sub. Jamie Lynn Horth never been submitted, but to be fair, we could see Maverick pull it off. 2 straight decision wins, though. Cachoeira armbar, but Cachoeira is a flawed striker. Usually it's grind-heavy pressure decisions or competitive kickboxing affairs for Maverick, and you can see a loss to Jazz Davicius about a year and a half ago. A fellow Canadian, actually, too, who had that height advantage, but Jazz Davicius' level of wrestling is a lot higher than Jamie Lynn Horth's. I really expect Maverick to be able to beat Jamie Lynn. I mean, beating Diani Barboza is something that I think demands some respect. Diani Barboza is talented. I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick. I'm going to say Miranda Maverick gets it on the judges' scorecards. Competitive fashion pulls through, but Jamie Lynn might have a couple of moments. But fear the Maverick should be the one catching the dub. Maverick for the win. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. I told you guys, I want to see how Miles Johns looks at 146. I really think this fight should have taken place at 135. Obviously, Lima pre-UFC was at 35. Last fight, he beat Muhammad Naimov at 145. Miles Johns doing, his work at 135 is a notable 135er. To be honest, Miles Johns is a guy that I think is often disrespected, but he's a quality fighter. And I've confidently picked Johns a lot in the past. Now, I picked Lima throughout the week here, but I was very excited to see how they looked in the face-off, and we'll look at the face-off in a moment. I feel bad for Miles Johns. He was supposed to fight former champ Cody Garbrandt. Now they give him Felipe Lima, who's a super talented up-and-comer, and it's up in weight. So kind of a non-optimal circumstance for Miles. And I don't know, could he pull through? Let's check out the scales and we'll see. maybe if something changes. You can see Lima looking pretty jacked up on the scale, dude. Holy shit. Felipe Lima has that high T energy, bro. Honestly, he's got the face of somebody on some testosterone, bro. Like, he looks like a bodybuilder in this picture. Looks like he's a straight gym bro, absolutely ripping the fucking test and trend. And then on the other side, you got Miles Johns. He's looking pretty stacked up too. And you know what? Pretty deceptive skill set with Miles Johns. He gets slept on a lot, and I pick him a lot. And now me picking against him is kind of crazy, but I just think Felipe Lima is talented, man. I think Felipe Lima should win. I like Miles. He's good. It's like I really wanted to come into this fight week and, pick an experienced vet in Miles Johns, but I think Felipe Lima's a pretty dynamic up and comer. Now, he's never fought Miles Johns before, right? And Miles Johns is a crafty up and comer, like I said, or excuse me, crafty vet, like I said, but he did beat Muhammad Naimov, which I think does hold some weight. Naimov's also an experienced guy with decent skills. This is a really interesting fight. More of a 50-50. More of a 50-50. I'm still picking Lima. I don't want to fade Felipe Lima just because Miles Johns looks pretty good on the scales, but I pick Miles Johns a lot, and it's like frustrating me that I'm against him here. He does have relatively good power in his hands. He's got solid looping shots. He can wrestle a bit, but Felipe Lima is a crafty up-and-coming guy, like I said, with slick striking, good volume, good power, creative, solid ground game too. I feel like he's a high-quality talent. We'll go Felipe Lima, but at minus 225 against pretty well-proven veteran in Miles Johns, these odds don't make a lot of sense, and I'm staying away from Lima. I understand the Miles Johns betting side, right? He's proven in 3-round fights. He's fought decent opposition, but I do think Felipe Lima is a little bit too much for Miles Johns, especially at 145. Maybe if Lima had the extra 10-pound weight cut, he'd be drained out a bit, but he looks pretty full up at 45. Over is minus 275. I could see it going over. I think Lima wins the fight, man. Lima by sub is up at plus 600. Lima by decision, plus 105. I think Lima's probably winning by decision or submission. Those, I'd say, are like the two most likely methods of victory. He submitted Muhammad Naimov, who was 11-2. Now he's fighting 15-2 Miles Johns. He's getting a hard push from the UFC in a tough matchup here, but a matchup that is definitely going to build some hype on him if he wins. So give me Felipe Lima to not upset Miles Johns, but to beat a crafty veteran in Miles Johns. I'll say Lima can find a way to do it, man. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. Now, if you guys been tuning in throughout the week, you know I'm going Fernando Padilla as the upset underdog lock call of the week to close out 2024. I honestly think that in a striking fight, he has a lot of chances to hit Sean Woodson with big shots in the boxing range. Now, Sean Woodson is a pretty relatively slick boxer with nice feints and movement, but I do think he's kind of a tad bit overhyped right now with some wins over decent opposition, but relatively favorable stylistic matchups. You look, he beat Alex Caceres, who's not an explosive puncher. He beat Charles Jourdain, who had like a 9-inch reach disadvantage. He beat Dennis Bazooka, who's, back end 145er in the UFC. And then a draw with Luis Saldana 2 years ago is a fight that I think people are either choosing to ignore or forgetting about. Sean Woodson's chin got absolutely checked in that fight. He was dropped twice in the first round, and if Saldana didn't fight like a moron, he would have got a first-round knockout. He dropped Woodson. He then tried to walk away, and then he dropped him again, and then he throws an illegal knee, and then he thought he won the fight. Obviously, fight keeps on going, and then the adrenaline dump hits, and he draws a decision. I believe that Padilla can catch Sean Woodson with something big. Padilla's got a nice right hand. He's at Team Oyama, which I like a lot for him. I think that he's kind of being disregarded because of a loss to Kyle Nelson, but Kyle Nelson's a crafty vet, and Padilla did win the first round. I also think you could potentially look at that fight against Kyle Nelson as like a learning experience. He seemed to be a little flat in that fight. I just don't think that was the best version of Padilla, whereas, he got a knockout in his debut against Julian Erosa, who actually has a win over Woodson, and then he beat Luis Puello, who's a decent 8-1 fighter. I think Padilla struggles with like pressure grappling, but when he's on point, he's a dangerous striker, and I don't think he should be overlooked by any sense of the word in this fight here against Sean Woodson. I really think Padilla's live to win. He's got a nice right hand. Even though he's got long limbs, he is good with pressure striking. You can see a 1-inch height disadvantage and a 2-inch reach disadvantage, but Sean Woodson lately has been fighting guys where he has a lot more of a range advantage than that, and I think it's going to be hard to keep Padilla out of his face, and I do think Padilla is live to crack that chin. Now, as far as the scales, we're going to check them out. Let's look. We got Padilla looking slim, ripped, kind of lemur-like. Padilla looks like a damn lemur, man. Holy shit. And then on the other side, I mean, listen, Sean Woodson, he looks alien-like, bro. The alien Sean Woodson versus the lemur Padilla in a clash of, unique-looking individuals, to say the least. Now, let's check out the face-off. Let's see the energy from both. Obviously, Padilla with the signature hat. You can see Woodson doesn't really have much of a size advantage here. He's a lot skinnier, even though Padilla's pretty skinny. Look at the arm size difference, man. Holy shit. Padilla's got thin arms, but he's got like double the size of arms that Woodson has, man. I think he's got more power. I don't know, man. I don't think Woodson's chin is going to hold up with Padilla at all. I feel like he's going to get cracked by a big punch and he's going to crumble. And I think a lot of people that are like confidently picking Sean Woodson are definitely going to rethink it all come fight day when they see him get wobbled and put down. I'm saying Padilla's the dog lock of the card. I think he's being slept on. Plus 133. They're great odds for him. He opened up at plus 220, so a lot of money coming down on Padilla. As far as Sean Woodson, he's minus 153. I like the chances of, Padilla pulling through as a close money underdog. Let's see. Padilla by KO plus 500. I do think Padilla is live to chin check Sean Woodson, man. What are the masses picking? Wow. 88% of the people are picking Sean Woodson, but betting lines say otherwise. Betting lines say otherwise. Look at that. It was plus 220. Now it's come down to plus 130. I think that Padilla is the smart money, sneaky underdog. He's a really talented up-and-comer. He's at Team Oyama. He's not training at some hole-in-the-wall gym in Mexico. For Sean Woodson, I mean, I know he was, sparring amateurs in the lead up to a recent fight, and that was kind of his main training partners. I just think Padilla's seeing higher level looks. He's a crafty up-and-comer, and I don't think he's somebody that we should sleep on here. There's a reason Sean Woodson is not getting his chance to fight someone in the top 15. I think it's because the UFC wants to see him tested again, and Padilla is that test, and I think Padilla is going to pass the test. Upset win for Fernando Padilla over Sean Woodson in what should be a pretty interesting fight that me, for one, being very hyped for because, Padilla, we got a lot on the line, but I actually think that stylistically, it's a favorable matchup for him. I like him a lot. Watch for the right hands. Woodson's hittable over the top. He's going to struggle with Padilla's power and pressure, and Fernando Padilla is going to upset Sean Woodson. Let's keep running. Next fight, we have Drakkar Klose versus Yoel Alvarez. Absolute banger on the prelims. Why is this fight not on the main card? I don't get it. Now, my pick has been Yoel Alvarez all week, and nothing about the scale is going to change that. Alvarez is going to have a relatively huge height and reach advantage in this fight. He does have underrated striking. He's pretty clean in his kickboxing skills. I could see him hurting Drakkar Klose, but where he really shines is with these chokes, man. He can catch necks nicely. He's got really long limbs. Really long and skinny limbs that make a ghillie a perfect technique. I could see Drakkar Klose getting locked in a ghillie. He was locked in a ghillie against Silva, and he fought out, and he also got dropped by Joaquim Silva. Now he's fighting a talented up-and-comer who's got finishing ability on the feet. I'd say he's a relatively dangerous striker who's got slick submissions on the ground. I like the chances for Yoel Alvarez for the upset. I think he can pull through. Or rather, the upset. What am I saying? I'm thinking upset so much. I think Yoel Alvarez winning as a lock. He's a big favorite. What am I thinking upset? There's Drakkar Klose. I mean, he looks relatively good on the scale. He's in good shape. He's a crafty OG. He's 7-1 in his last 8. Then there's Yoel Alvarez looking like an absolutely mad Spanish guy. Like, he looks like the true psychotic matador. He's got bulls running at him and shit in a past life. And then we got on the other side of it the face-offs. And look at that size difference. Is that not valid? Is that not valid AF? Come on. I don't think Drakkar Klose at 36 is beating a Yoel Alvarez, who is a really talented prospect, whose only recent loss is against Arman Sarukian. And other than that, it's Demiris Magilov. Alvarez just whooped Elvis Brenner's ass. Yoel Alvarez is good, man. And I think he's going to win impressively here with a finish. He could knock out Drakkar, or he could potentially catch him in a sub. He's a confident pick from me, and he's probably a confident pick from you too. But the odds would have you thinking the same, like minus 425. Everybody's picking him. Everybody. Plus 325 for Drakkar Klose? Nah. Yoel Alvarez is going to win, bro. Don't chase odds in this fight. Under 2.5, minus 155, or fight ends inside distance, minus 210. I like that. I think inside distance for Alvarez, minus 165 sucks, but I think so. Alvarez by submission, plus 165, odds is shit, but I do think he wins by sub. Plus 275 for a KO. Could get a KO, but I'm leaning submission. I think Yoel Alvarez is live to submit Drakkar Klose. I could see a club and sub. I could see Klose shooting a takedown and getting caught in a gilly. I could see him rocked on the feet and then getting choked out. I'm going Yoel Alvarez for the finish impressively, and I think he's going to fight somebody in the top 15 next, and he's going to have a big 2025. Alvarez, honestly, bro, one of the most underrated guys of 2024, but now the hype is going to blow. When he beats Klose, that's a major win. I know to the casuals, Drakkar Klose is not that well known, but actually he's good too. 4-fight win streak, 7-1 in his last 8 fights. Drakkar is crafty. He's got a win over Bobby Green earlier in his career. Klose has been around for years, man. But I think Alvarez has the tools to beat him. So Yoel Alvarez to beat Drakkar. Next fight, we have our featured prelim of the night. It's Michael Johnson versus Ottman Azaitar. Ooh, this feels like such a throwback fight. I don't know. Anything with Michael Johnson, I feel like I'm flashing back to 2014, but he's still kicking it. Now his record is rough at 22-19, but it's all good. Michael Johnson should beat Ottman Azaitar. He should. He really should. He's a slick striker, good from the southpaw stance, fast and precise. And when he has on nights, he is one of the better strikers at 155 pounds. Now, when he has off nights, it falls apart. He's taken a lot of L's, dude. He's got 19 losses. But Michael Johnson is so much better than what his record is. Ottman Azaitar, I think, is a can. I think he's way worse than his record shows. 13-2 is an inflated record. His lone UFC win in his debut is against Kama Worthy 4 years ago, who had no chin leading up to that fight. Chin was gone. Chin by Frivola. Chin by Prado. I honestly think he's live to be chinned by Michael Johnson, but I could see Michael Johnson being patient here and picking him apart over a long fight. You do have to worry about Johnson's chin. He has been KO'd a bit. Diego Ferreira absolutely flattened him. But to be honest with you, Diego Ferreira looked pretty good in his follow-up fight against Rambeshki. Deserves a little respect. Beat Darius Flowers on a decision. Mark Jacasey win. He shut him down. Alan Patrick KO. Patrick's not that good, to be fair. And then a Jamie Malarkey controversial split decision loss. I think Michael Johnson could get the KO because Azaitar seems a bit chinny and hittable. But Michael Johnson's chin is a big worry. And even if he's winning the early part of this fight, he is always live to get dropped. That's why trying to throw heat down at Michael Johnson as far as a bet is kind of like playing with fire. But overall, I think he's the winner of the fist fight. There's Ottman Azaitar. At one point, he was a really hyped up and comer. So he's definitely falling apart. There's Michael Johnson, former Ultimate Fighter finalist. He's been in the UFC forever, dude. I remember Tough 11 watching Michael Johnson. You would have thought his record would be better, but he does have some, pretty high-level wins. When he's on point, Michael Johnson's good. It's just, if he's on point, I don't know. It's a worry. I mean, there's Ottman Azaitar, and then there's Johnson. We got the face-off. Nothing from the face-off too crazy. Both guys look a little crusty at the face-off, to be honest, man. And Johnson especially. But hopefully Johnson's hands are on point and he gets a slick KO of Ottman or even a decision. I'd just be happy for Michael Johnson to win the damn fight because Ottman Azaitar is not that good, bro. He's kind of a wide stance brawler, a little bit square and hittable, whereas Johnson has more of a slick boxing stance. I really think he's got a clear-cut speed advantage, and I think he can put Ottman Azaitar down and out. So we're going to go with Michael Johnson to pull through. Now, he is the favorite. It's not an upset call. Minus 230 for Michael Johnson. I'm surprised to see it this wide just with the history of chin issues for Johnson. And then Azaitar at plus 195. Over 2.5, plus 145. Fight ends inside distance, minus 220. Johnson wins by KO, plus 140. Johnson wins by decision, plus 275. I'm going with Michael Johnson to find a way. Okay? I'm going with Michael Johnson to find a way to win, to find a way to get the kill, and either a decision or potentially a slick knockout with a good counter shot. I want to see Michael Johnson have a good performance. I know he's got a finish left in him. He's 38, but I still think he can beat a guy like Ottman, who's kind of just a gunslinging brawler, man. He also beat Teemu Buckley. I didn't even hype that up, but bro, it feels like a lifetime ago. Come on, bro. Michael Johnson for the dub. Michael Johnson for the dub. Let's go. Michael Johnson wins this fight. That closes out the prelims, the final feature prelim of the year. And then we jump to the main card. If you guys haven't, smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. We got Navajo Stirling versus Tuco Tokkos to start off this main card. So let me tell you my thought process with this fight here. We have talented striking prospect to watch versus Tokkos, who's kind of he's 34 years old. I guess he's a 34-year-old prospect. He got violently chinned by Mingyang Zhang on road to the UFC in 2022. Racked off 3 straight wins against lower-level competition, earned the short-notice UFC fight, and then got submitted in the first round by Umar Sy. On the opposite side, Navajo Stirling, Contender Series winner, city kickboxing talent, striking background. I think he's got quality takedown defense. I don't think that Tokkos has much of a shot against Stirling on the feet. The only way he wins is dragging it to the ground. And I don't think Tokkos is that elite with his takedown game. I think Stirling's got good hips and good movement. At 27, he's absolutely in his prime. He's slick on the feet with good precision. Tokkos a little bit wild and stiff. I don't know, man. He's got a square Muay Thai stance versus Stirling, who has much more of a flow state Muay Thai stance. I'm going to say Navajo Stirling pieces up Tuco Tokkos for a pretty vicious KO. I think it's live in the first or second round, depending on how aggressive Tokkos is. And then if Tokkos is failing takedown attempts, I think Stirling is going to get more confident and then really start letting the fist fly. I'll say fist, but really everything fly. Kicks, punches, knees, elbows. He's live to land deadly shots from all angles and all methods. So I'm going to go Navajo Stirling for a nice W over Tuco Tokkos. Let's get it, man. I'm looking forward to this fight. Now, as far as the weigh-ins, okay, we have Tokkos coming in looking pretty typical. And then we have Stirling looking shredded out. I don't know why we don't have a pic of him with the straight flex, but we don't need it because we can get it here. Bro, is that Kelvin Gastelum with a bald head, bro? Or is that a mix of him and Ilir Latifi? It looks like Latifi and Gastelum had a child. That is Tokkos. And then we got Navajo Stirling. He's got an alien-like look as well, but the dude is absolutely stacked, bro. Real 6'4", too. Tokkos about 1.5 inches shorter than him. I think Navajo Stirling's going to give Tokkos a lesson. He's going to beat him up. Striking should be clean. Power should be on point. Danger zone USA for Tokkos against the very dangerous city kickboxing fighter who I think has a very bright future, man. High upside. High upside for sure. Man, he's a minus 1,000 favorite, though. The odds suck. Tokkos plus 700. Damn, the odds are shit. Looking at KO win for Stirling, minus 185. Stirling round 1 plus 1. What's round 2? Stirling KO round 2 plus 350. Give me Stirling. Give me KO. I think round 1 or 2 is live, but the odds are rough on this fight, man. I mean, maybe you're parlaying up Stirling, but you might just have to parlay up Stirling to win by KO. You should get it done by KO. I mean, look, mostly KO wins. I mean, 2 years ago, decision there, but I think he's live to beat Tokkos by counter shot KO. So Navajo Stirling should definitely win. Good prospect to watch. High-level talent in the striking department and somebody that Tokkos can't handle. Next fight on the card, we have Daniel Marcos versus Adrian Yanez. I've been picking Daniel Marcos to beat Yanez all week. I know it's Yanez. They say it differently, bro. Every damn broadcast person says it differently. I think that Marcos can beat the, crafty boxer. And Yanez, I say it, but Yanez good with his hands. He's got power for sure. Mixes it up good, but bro, like the Vinicius Salvador win is so fucking overhyped. Salvador was a can at 125, and they gave him to Yanez for just an easy KO highlight reel. And then Daniel Marcos is a 16-0 striker, pretty precise with his game, good lateral movement, good kicking skill set, hard to hit. I got to go Daniel Marcos to outpoint Adrian Yanez in a hard fight. I just don't think Yanez is going to have an easy path. I mean, yeah, if he gets on the inside and starts cracking Marcos with big bombs, you could knock him out. But getting there is not going to be easy because Marcos is good with distant management, man. Marcos is good with his legs. Has a decent jab. He doesn't have the same punching power or punching style of Yanez. But so what? I think Daniel Marcos is going to get his hand raised. We're going Daniel Marcos. We're going to say he wins this fight by a decision. Yanez is tough, but Marcos is clean and technical. So Marcos to pull through is what's going to come to fruition, man. That's what we're going to pick. All right, let's check out the weigh-ins here. Let's see. Daniel Marcos looking shredded up, ripped to the bone. Nice red hair as well. Look at that look. That's a money look, man. Then we got Adrian Yanez. Bro, he looks like he just rolled out of bed, Yanez. He didn't clean up the sides, bro. He's got a dirtier sideburn than me, bro. Come on, Yanez. What are we doing? We're at a UFC weigh-in, man. That being said, I should probably line up the sides before I do the weigh-in recap show on Friday. Not a bad idea. Is what it is. I guess I'm looking similar to Yanez. I'm talking shit because I can, because I'm also in the messy beard phase as well. Okay, this is kind of a sus look. That's, I don't know. That hat's weird, man. I mean, I'm from Florida, right? So this hat is not commonly worn around us. I thought that was a hat more for girls, to be honest. I don't even know what this is called. Let me know in the comments. But sus hat from Marcos. Okay. Okay. I guess if he was going snowboarding, but bro, we're in Tampa, Florida, man. You don't need that. Then we got Yanez on the other side. He looks like he's aged before our eyes, bro. It looks like man Yanez now. And then there's the face-off. Marcos, he seems like the bully in this fight here. And I think Yanez is the technician and the athlete. I don't know. I'm picking Marcos, but I can see a world where Adrian Yanez exposes Marcos' lack of clean boxing on the inside. Like, the way I'll determine this fight to take place optimally for both guys, right? If Marcos is able to keep it in the yellow and green zone, the mid and long range, he should have success with kicks and straight punches and using his movement to stay away from Yanez and outpoint him. Whereas for Yanez, if he can really bulldoze his way inside and get past Marcos' kicks and jab, in the red zone, right, real boxing range, inside fighting, Yanez is definitely better. He's definitely cleaner with his power, but he's going to have to get past a guy who's crafty from the outside. And we've seen Yanez struggle from range in fights before. And I could see him getting frustrated and like overthrowing wide shots in an attempt to close the gap when he's just not able to. So I'm going to pick Marcos, though, you know, I feel like I like Yanez more, but this is not a who I like most fight. It's who I think is going to win. And I am going to pick Daniel Marcos by a decision over the fun Adrian Yanez. And he's a favorite and a half, dude. Minus 230 for a wide favorite status line for Marcos. Yanez is plus 195. We're going to go Marcos, but I'm not excited about going Marcos. It would be way more lit. Yanez by knockout, but I just... Undefeated Marcos. Yanez kind of been exposed. The only win since the exposure is Salvador, who's not good, not even close to Marcos' level. Marcos would knock out Salvador in the first round, too. You get where I'm coming from? So, what has Yanez proven to us since his 2 fucking losses? Nothing. Marcos decision plus 200. I'm going to say Marcos wins on the decision. Yeah, it's going to be sweaty if you got the over, though, because Yanez throws hard. And shit, to be honest with you, it wouldn't be crazy if, Yanez ends up getting rocked by Marcos at some point. But I'm going to say Daniel Marcos by a unanimous decision to win this fight. Good matchup. Next fight on the card, light heavyweights, Dustin Jacoby and Vitor Petrino. The pick has been Vitor Petrino all week, and I think he's going to have a clear-cut wrestling and grappling advantage. In the striking department, Dustin Jacoby deserves some respect. I mean, he's a former kickboxer in glory. He's decent from range. He's got a good right hand. He kind of picks his shots well. What he lacks, though, is like devastating power and explosiveness. I know he's got KOs, but I don't consider him a devastating puncher. Also, mixed results, right? 1-4 in his last 5 fights. That's a bit of a red flag. Whereas Petrino's loss to Anthony Smith, it was a position that he put himself in, shooting a stupid takedown and then getting strangled. Like, the only way Smith beats him is that facet, and he gives it to him. He was having striking success. Petrino is not as on paper technical as Dustin Jacoby, but Petrino is accurate with his punches. He does have legit KO power. He does have legit explosiveness, and he's really freaking strong, man. So Petrino, even if he's struggling a bit in striking, could get this fight to the ground. But on the flip side, I think that, yes, Jacoby has a perceived striking advantage because of his accolades of kickboxing. In all reality, Dustin Jacoby got flatlined in his last fight, and he could definitely get his shit rocked bad here by Vitor Petrino. But I could see Petrino attempting to drag this fight to the ground and just dominate from top position. There's a chance Petrino grinds out a decision win. He's done it before. He's definitely the favorite for a reason, and I'm picking Petrino to pull through because, you know, on the side of Jacoby, he doesn't really bring any submission threats, and I think that would be a powerful tool to, at the very least, threaten Petrino in some aspect where he doesn't offer guillotines. He doesn't offer anything off of his back. Really, he's not a submission threat. He's a kickboxer. Both guys look good, but Petrino looks like a savage, man. Come on, bro. 27 years old. He's a prospect to watch. Don't write him off because he was stupid against Anthony Smith and got subbed. He did that for Anthony Smith's sake. And then we got Dustin Jacoby. You got some delts coming in. Strange collarbone, like poking out over there, but he's got the delts. You got Petrino looking stacked, bro. He's a monster. He's got the knuckle dusters on his damn arm. Bro, I think Vitor Petrino has his way with Jacoby. It's a crossroads fight. Petrino could get this fight to the ground and dominate. I feel like that's what he's going to end up doing. I'm going to say Petrino's going to win by submission. It's not that I don't think he could get a knockout on the feet. It's just he's going to have such a grappling edge. He's a minus 300 favorite. Odds are wide AF, but they deserve to be. Over is minus 200. I mean, I lean towards over, but two big, strong guys at heavyweight, or excuse me, at light heavyweight, it could end earlier. It depends on what happens. I mean, look at the way Petrino dropped Modestas Bukauskas, but then look how he was patient against Tyson Pedro, you know? It depends. Petrino by decision is plus 285. Petrino by submission is plus 550, and KO plus 110. That KO side, like, I get it, but submission at plus 550, arm triangle, maybe rear naked choke, it's not crazy. Petrino's got a crafty ground game, and I could definitely see him making Dustin Jacoby tap because Petrino's going to have a big advantage in wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu. The whole mahoy of ground skills favors Petrino by a wide margin, and I don't really think he's outgunned in striking much either because even with the lack of maybe super clean technique, he makes up for it with crazy explosiveness and a great ability to land knockout punches. So Petrino for the W over Jacoby. Let's keep running. Next fight, we have featured fight, flyweight fight, Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva. I've been picking Manel Kape to technically pick apart Bruno Silva and probably win a unanimous decision. He's clean, he's accurate, he's precise with his striking. He picks his shots well and he moves well too. Bruno Silva, kind of a powerhouse puncher, looks to throw big bombs, but against Cody Durden, he was losing most of the exchanges. And Manel Kape is way slicker than Cody Durden. And yeah, maybe Manel Kape doesn't have the wrestling skill set that Durden has, but I think in striking, Kape's speed is going to be pretty on point, and I think he's going to outwork Bruno Silva. I definitely think Silva's got a good chin and toughness. I know he's known for the finish, but I don't think he's finishing Kape here. I'm going to say Manel Kape wins by decision. Bruno gets busted up a little bit, but survives till the final bell, and Manel Kape wins 30-27 probably with a clear-cut striking speed advantage. Silva, kind of karate-esque striking. At times he gets kind of stuck in the mud a tad, and I just don't think he's high likelihood to get Kape to the ground and sub them, man. We're going with Manel Kape. Kape to win. He wins a decision. It makes a lot of sense. His last fight was against Mokaev. He went distance there. I don't think Silva has the submission threat Mokaev has. Then on top of it, though he has okay boxing, he's not hyper elite as far as his striking goes. There's Bruno Silva. He looks like a Brazilian school teacher in this one, to be honest. Then on the other side, we got Manel Kape. He looks pretty intense. Usual Kape vibe. Nothing too crazy to say. Both guys rehydrate nicely. And then you can see Kape a little taller. Both guys smirking at each other. Mutual respect for sure. The scales don't really matter in this fight. They don't. They don't matter at all, to be honest. I think that Manel Kape wins a unanimous decision. Cleaner striking, technical and accurate, good movement, good bounce to his style, and hard to hit. Now, as far as the odds, he's a minus 425 favorite, really wide. Silva is plus 325 as the underdog. Kape to win via decision, plus 100. I do think he's getting a decision. Over 2.5, minus 170. Yeah, Manel Kape's going to win, guys. We're going Manel Kape. We're going to go Kape by decision. He outpoints Bruno Silva, winning most of the striking exchanges, fending off the takedown attempts from Bruno Silva, and getting his hand raised. And, keeping himself up there as far as being a top 10 flyweight. I don't think he's getting a title shot or anything, but I don't know. He puts a couple more wins together. He fought Pantoja once a long time ago. He could be in the title picture, but definitely don't think he's the next guy in line because, he lost to Mokaev. Kape, decision over Bruno Silva. Makes a ton of sense here. Too crafty, too quick. Next fight on the card, it's our co-main event. We have Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo. I've been picking Cub Swanson, but, you got to respect Billy Q. He's fighting at home in Tampa, and shit, this could be the last time Billy Q ever fights. Now, Cub Swanson is the slicker striker, and the reason I've been picking Cub is his grappling defensive abilities and his clean boxing style. Cub Swanson is fast with his hands. He's accurate to the target. He's got good multi-shot combinations. He's got good movement. Where does Billy Q really have an advantage? Maybe in pure jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he has the wrestling abilities to get Cub Swanson into those compromised spots. And then on top of that, so okay, you don't have the wrestling to get him into the compromised positions. That's fair. Okay, so let's ignore that. How does he get him down then? Does he jump his back against the cage? Does he clip him with a big shot and drop him? Has Cub Swanson shown chin issues at all recently? No. He's coming off of a controversial loss to Philly. It was a fight that could have went either way, but you could definitely see it scored towards Cub. Billy Q looked bad last time against Yusuf Zalal. He beat Damon Jackson in a tooth and nail type grimy fight. He had a loss to Edson Barboza violently with a knee. Win over, Hernandez is pretty impressive 2 years ago. Lost to Shane Burgos in, a scrappy fight. Same with Swanson, right? He had a scrappy fight with him. I think Cub Swanson's a lot cleaner in striking. Billy Q loops a lot of his punches, and I just think he's got too much fat on his shots, whereas Cub Swanson is more clean, accurate, and to the target with his striking, which I like a lot. So I'm going to say Cub Swanson is able to win a decision. He'll fend off some of Billy Q's takedowns. I do think Billy Q is going to look to swing some power shots. Cub Swanson will land more accurately. Billy Q's at home in Tampa, so expect these guys to swing for the fences. Probably fight of the night. I'm going to say Swanson nabs a 29-28 decision, maybe 30-27, but definitely could see 29-28, even if Billy Q has some, success at moments, especially maybe in the third round or if he lands a late takedown. But I just think Swanson's better. There's Billy Q on the scale, looking lean, ripped, and ready to go. Looks in good shape. Respect to Billy Q. Cub Swanson rocking the absolute savage mustache, bro. Looks straight out of Cali, bro. Cholo vibes with the stash from Killer Cub. And then, the face-off, we got to check it out. We got to see Billy Q's happy to be at home in Tampa. Cub, bro, looks like he aged 10 years, bro. I think Cub just shaved the stash. He looks way younger. There's the face-off. You can see a little bit of a size advantage on the side of Billy Q. I don't know, man. I just think Cub Swanson's too slick for him. And, the loss Billy Q had to Zalal, as good as Zalal is as a prospect, it was a bad loss, man. I'm going with Cub Swanson. Plus 130 for Cub Swanson. Billy Q minus 150. Looking towards anything else. Swanson wins by decision, plus 300. Probably a decision. Over 2.5, minus 145. I'll say we're going over. I'll say that Swanson gets his hand raised on the judges' scorecards. Cub Swanson by decision. It just makes a lot of sense to me, man. I see that as the method of victory. Competitive fight, both guys having moments, but Cub Swanson, little bit cleaner, a little bit quicker. I know he's 41, but he still looks pretty damn good for a 41-year-old, and he fights pretty consistently, which I think is necessary to be 41 and competing in the UFC. And I think that Billy Q, I don't know, his focus could be elsewhere. I know he owns a gym in Tampa. That's a worry. I know that Cub Swanson runs that UFC gym, Costa Mesa, but, you know, ultimately, I don't know. I feel like Cub Swanson is a little better, a little cleaner, a little slicker, a little quicker. And even though he's the older man, he's still got some fight left in him. So give me Cub Swanson on a hard-fought decision over Billy Q in Billy Q's hometown, Tampa. Let's keep running. Let's jump to the main event. If you guys haven't, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Ooh, so, okay. I believe that Colby Covington is going to win by upset. And I think that he is being very much overlooked because of Buckley's hype right now. I get it. He's on a nice welterweight winning streak. And I understand he was vicious in his KO of Wonderboy. But stylistically, Wonderboy, karate-esque kickboxer, Colby Covington, ballistic pressure fighter, right? Very different styles. Good wrestling from Colby. We haven't seen Buckley beat a good wrestler at 170. The only example of him fighting a wrestler, he was losing pretty much everything to Logan Storley in Bellator many years ago. So, you know, it's not a super relevant fight, but we haven't seen Buckley fight someone with anything similar to Covington's style at 170. I understand he's on a roll, beating Wonderboy, beating Nursultan Riziboyev, beating Vicente Luque, even beating Alex Morono, but he was fairly competitive there, beating Andre Fialho. Nice wins, right? But Colby Covington is coming off of a title fight where he lost to Leon Edwards in one of the worst performances of his career. Now, you guys are going to say, I'm coping for Colby. You know what? That's fine. He broke his foot early in the fight. He mentioned altitude sickness leading up to the fight, and you can hear it in his voice in that media day interview if you go back and rewatch it. And I'm like, damn, I don't think Colby's lying to us. I don't think we saw 100% Colby against Leon, and that's why we saw such a calm and defensive style from him where he tried to be patient Colby Covington. I just don't think he was there. He still managed to win the 5th round against Leon Edwards and out-wrestle him. I think Colby Covington's pressure wrestling is live in this fight. I know everybody's like, yo, Buckley's going to run through him. Look how jacked he is. Look how strong he is. People forget Colby Covington beat Tyron Woodley. I think Colby Covington beats Joaquin Buckley with pressure wrestling, stays in his face. I know he's taking this fight on short notice. I know he's 36 years old, but I think he's got one last little run left. I expect some big fights from him still. I don't think it's over for Colby. Buckley's good, but he's not beaten anybody like Colby Covington before. We haven't seen how he fares with somebody who has high caliber wrestling in the UFC. Like, okay, Albert Duraev win. Durayev's kind of a can, and he's at 185, and he's slow. Covington's in your face, fast pressure, and consistently looking for maybe takedowns, maybe peppering shots in the clinch, but scoring points. And I think Colby Covington is too much for Joaquin Buckley. So we're going to go Colby Covington to beat Joaquin Buckley. Now, Buckley, I'm telling you, bro, the deodorant stain, okay? The deodorant stain is a jinx, bro. Buckley, what are you doing with these deodorant stains on the scale, bro? Come on, Buckley. Come on, Buckley. He's losing aura points for that. Then there's Colby, who honestly looks shredded up. He looked ready to go. He looked in great shape. I think he's being overlooked, man. Buckley's looking jacked. There he is. Numansa, a.k.a. Martin Lawrence, a.k.a., Fresh Prince. Was it Carl from... I'm fucking forgetting the names. Carlton, yeah. Looks like Carlton, bro. Colby kept the jacket on for the ceremonials. There's a face-off. He's a little taller. There's the side-by-side. I think Colby Covington is getting slept on way too hard. I do not understand why he's this big of an underdog. He's plus 200 as a dog. If you told me the odds were like Billy Q and Swanson, I would get it. But Colby's coming off the title fight. He still went 5 rounds with Leon. He still won the 5th round. He's still trending forward with momentum, winning the last round that he fought inside of the cage, and it was against Leon, the former champ. I don't understand. Why is he plus 200? I disagree. I'm picking Colby. Minus 235 for Buckley. Covington's being slept on, guys. Probably going into the later stages. I'd assume over 3.5 is live, over 2.5 as well. Obviously over 4.5, I guess. Fight ends in no contest via eye poke. What do we got? Plus 5,000. That's funny as fuck. Nah, it's not. It's any other result. It's weird. It's not even a real line. Let's see. Covington by a decision. Plus 170. No. Plus 300. Okay. Covington by TKO. That'd be crazy. I don't see a TKO. Submission, I don't see. I see a decision. Grind heavy. Pressure style. I see Covington doing what he's always done. Now, if you're picking Buckley, you might be going towards Buckley on a no, scorecards no action at minus 450. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, and obviously Covington's probably not getting a finish. I had to check that. That's interesting. Dude, I think Colby Covington is live to win. He's going to make this a competitive fight. He's not getting wrecked. Colby's being slept on. Everybody overlooks him and writes him off. I get it. Colby says some unhinged shit, and, it's not always well taken by the fans, but you have to respect Colby Covington's pressure style. You can't sleep on it, and Buckley's not proven. Like, okay, you can say Colby's old and he's washed. Okay, maybe. But what if he's not? If we get Colby Covington that fought Masvidal, Buckley's going to struggle. I think Colby's still got some fight left in him, and he's being overlooked. Like, I know it's a long time ago, 3 years ago, but dude, he nearly beat Kamaru Usman in their rematch. He was tit for tat in that fight, and he still was close enough with Leon. And now to say that he should be a 2-1 underdog against Joaquin Buckley, who's never beaten anybody elite. Like, okay, he beat a one-dimensional 40-something-year-old wonder boy who was once elite, but okay, a good win, nice. But what does that mean as far as beating Colby Covington? Nothing to me. Colby's being slept on. Colby's the pick. Colby's a great underdog. I'm going to say Colby Covington by decision, upset to close out 2024. My last pick of the year is a plus 200 underdog, Colby Covington. That's how I got to close out the year, like an absolute savage. Those are the predictions for UFC Tampa. Now, we're not done yet because we have to talk a little bit about parlays. So you guys know, I like Padilla to win with Alvarez, the Dog Lock City. You guys can see what's on the screen. Everything, I think, is going to essentially still stand. Now, if you don't like the Kape over, you could just throw Kape in there. I told you guys, though, I need to create a live D-Gen play. So, if people just screenshot and bail, they miss out on things like this. That's why you got to listen, because I always say more. All right. So, after seeing what I saw on the scale, what do I want to make for a D-Gen call? Well, Yoel Alvarez seems like a damn lock on this card. I really expect him to win. I like Colby Covington plus 287, and I like Padilla plus 808 for Alvarez, Covington, and Padilla. Now, I want to add more steam, though. Do we go Manel Kape plus 1,068 and Vitor Petrino, two big favorites, plus 1,460? Over 2.5 in the Maverick fight, plus 1,772 now. Imagine you just take the Maverick fight out real quick. What if it somehow ended in finish? You'll be kicking yourself. Take it out. Plus 1,460 without the Maverick fight. Dude, if you bank it on Davey Grant, you get plus 2,800, but that's nerve-wracking. Cub Swanson and Billy Q. I mean, you could just go with Cub Swanson for plus 3,519, but I also feel like that fight's going over 2.5, which is plus 2,624. Alvarez, Covington, Padilla, Kape, Petrino, over 2.5 in the Cub Swanson fight. This is interesting as hell. And then Navajo Stirling, plus 2,900 if you threw him in. Is there anything else worth mentioning? I don't know. I feel like you get crazy when you move past that. I mean, if you don't go the over and you just pick Cubs straight, obviously you're going to be in the plus 3,000 zone, but it's not as good of a play. Not that Cub isn't going to win, but he is 41. If you think Daniel Marcos beats Yanez, now you got plus 3912 or 3921 rather. If you think Felipe Lima beats Johns, plus 5,708. Holy shit. And then if you got fucking old man Davey Grant, you get plus 10,000. So absolute D-Gen. Alvarez, Covington, Padilla, Kape, Petrino, over in the Swanson Quarantillo fight. Marcos, Lima, Grant, plus 10,988. Yeah, that is insane savagery. D-Gen AF, but I had to close out the year with something crazy. good luck on that one. I think the better bets are some underdog straight bets, some closer money parlays. The ones that you saw on the screen are better calls, especially the ones that aren't D-Gen calls, but had to do some D-Gen savagery to close out the year. And I guess I can bring it up on screen so you guys can see it. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. We can look here. That's for a little plus 10,988 love. Might be different depending on where you're at. Guys, it's been an amazing 2024. I will still be dropping content throughout the UFC drought with videos and live streams pretty much every single day. So keep it locked in on the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn those post notifications on. You don't want to miss a thing. Also, smash that like button and show some love, man. We're on the road to 42,000 subs, so make sure you keep it locked in. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments down below. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for a blessed year. We're going all the way up, man. Definitely going to pass 50K in 2025, and I think we're live to even pass 60,000. So keep it riding with me on MMA Experts. I am AJ. I'm signing off. Thanks for tuning in. Much love, people. See you for the Fight Companion. Good night. Peace out.